The 1980s weren't all Spielberg blockbusters and Brat Pack comedies. Studios turned their backs on a war fugitive drama that earned River Phoenix an Oscar nod. They fumbled a Martin Scorsese film so strange they didn't know whether to shelve it or apologize for it. Herzog nearly killed his crew hauling a steamship over a mountain, while Chevy Chase tried to punch up Neil Simon. These 10 films from the 80s weren't just overlooked. They were mishandled, misjudged, and in some cases, sabotaged. This one came out of Australia and basically disappeared everywhere else, which is a crime, honestly. It's a coming-of-age film set in the middle of nowhere, rural New South Wales. Noah Taylor stars in it, and if you've only seen him in stuff like Shine or playing weird guys in Tim Burton movies, this is where it all started. He's incredible here. It's such a personal performance that people just assumed the story was about him, but it's actually based on the writer's childhood. Now, this was supposed to be the first part of a trilogy. The second part, Flirting, came out in the early 90s and had Nicole Kidman in it. It's great too. But the third one never happened. They just never made it. Still, this one's a total gem. Nobody outside Australia really saw it, which is wild considering how much it got praised at home. Jeff Goldblum plays this miserable American actor living in London, stuck doing dumb stage shows. And then he meets Emma Thompson, who's just insanely likable here, and it turns into this very British, very awkward rom-com. Scripts by Richard Curtis, the same guy who wrote Love Actually and Notting Hill. But this was before all that, his first one. This movie is kind of horny, kind of sweet, kind of all over the place. Didn't really get any traction in the US. Goldblum wasn't considered a romantic lead yet, but on VHS, it found its people. It's weird, but it works. Gus Van Sant's second movie ever, and it's the one that put him on the map. Matt Dillon plays the leader of this little crew of junkies who basically go town to town robbing pharmacies and getting high on whatever they can find. That's the setup. But what makes this one hit is how real it feels. It's based on a true story from a real-life drug addict who lived that life. You can tell. Nobody wanted to fund it. Studios passed. So Van Sant went out and shot it in Portland on basically nothing, using a mix of actors and real addicts. You've even got William S. Burroughs showing up as this junkie priest, and dude almost died on set. The movie didn't blow up right away. It kind of got buried, but then it showed at Cannes Film Festival, and suddenly critics were all over it. That opened the door for stuff like My Own Private Idaho and the whole Gen X indie wave. This might be Scorsese's most slept-on movie. People barely know it exists. Griffin Dunne stars as a regular guy who goes out for a date and ends up stuck in this total nightmare of a night in downtown New York. Everything just keeps getting worse and weirder by the minute. Scorsese made this after getting kicked off The Last Temptation of Christ. He was pissed, and this was his outlet. Shot in 6 weeks, mostly at night, barely any budget. Warner Bros. Had no idea what to do with it. They buried it. Total box office flop, but over the years, it got rediscovered. Now you hear directors like Paul Thomas Anderson and the Safdies bringing it up as a major influence. Pauline Kael said it was the most alive Scorsese had been in years. Broderick stars in this one, playing a character based on Neil Simon. Yeah, the playwright. It's part 2 of his semi-autobiographical trilogy. Takes place during World War II. Broderick's this Brooklyn kid who gets drafted and ends up in basic training down in Mississippi. Christopher Walken plays the drill sergeant, and he is absolutely locked in here. Maybe the best part of the movie. It's funny, kinda sweet in spots, and has that stage play feel, which makes sense. It came from Broadway, and Broderick played the same role there. On paper, this should have been a big hit. Mike Nichols directed it, decent budget, strong cast. But it just didn't land. People thought Broderick felt too much like Ferris again, and audiences just weren't that into a nostalgic coming-of-age story. Even Neil Simon later said it didn't have the spark of the stage version. Steve Martin plays a detective in a full-on black-and-white noir movie, except almost everyone else in the film is from actual old noir movies, like Bogart, Lana Turner, Ingrid Bergman, real scenes spliced in. Carl Reiner directed it, and they basically had to match lighting, grain, camera movement, even wardrobe, without any CGI. This was all done the old-fashioned way. And getting the rights to use those clips, months of legal back and forth with every studio that owned those films. It's a technical miracle they even finished it. Mickey Rourke before the boxing, before the surgery, just full-on movie star mode. This is one of his best. He plays a private investigator named Harry Angel, and he gets hired by this shady guy, played by Robert De Niro, to track down a missing singer named Johnny Favorite. Sounds pretty simple, but this thing just keeps getting darker and weirder. Blood, sex, voodoo, the whole deal. They originally slapped it with an X rating. That one sex scene with Lisa Bonet almost got the whole movie banned. Behind the scenes, Rourke hated working with director Alan Parker, swore he'd never do it again. De Niro barely spoke to Rourke at all, just came in, did his thing, and left. And despite all of that, or maybe because of it, the movie tanked. Audiences had no clue what to make of it. But now it's a total cult classic. If you've never seen it, fix that. Empty is probably River Phoenix's best performance. He was 18, writing his own lines, improvising scenes, just completely locked into it. And it's the only role he ever got an Oscar nomination for. He plays the son of two former radicals who've been hiding from the feds ever since they blew up a napalm lab during a protest. So now the whole family's always on the move, changing names, never settling down, and he's just trying to live some kind of normal life through all of it. Goldie Hawn, Chevy Chase, and Charles Grodin in this weird little love triangle that somehow makes you root for all three of them. It's one of those movies that just coasts on charm. You're not going to have a life-changing experience, but you're definitely going to have a good time. Neil Simon actually wrote this for Goldie and Chase, but Chase didn't want to do any of the scripted stuff. He just wanted to improvise everything, and Simon was the kind of writer who didn't let anybody change a single word. So they fought. A lot. Rewrites, reshoots, arguments, all of it. Somehow it still worked. The movie was a hit, but behind the scenes, it was chaos. And it's also kind of where Chase started getting that difficult to work with label in Hollywood. The movie's about a guy who wants to haul a steamship over a mountain in the jungle to access rubber-rich territory. That's the plot. And Werner Herzog, being Herzog, decided to actually do it. No tricks. He dragged a real 320-ton boat over a real mountain in Peru. No special effects, no models, no CGI. The original star, Jason Robards, got sick halfway through and had to quit, so they brought in Klaus Kinski, who immediately started screaming at people. Extras walked off set. Herzog had to carry a gun. One guy cut off his own foot with a chainsaw. The whole production felt like it was cursed. It took years to finish. Budget went way over. People thought Herzog had lost his damn mind. But somehow, it turned into a masterpiece. It's one of those movies where the story behind the camera is just as wild as what's on screen, maybe more.